Jeremiah Kioni, are said to be plotting to petition the High Court to order postponement of the 2022 general election. This, they say, would allow the IEBC adequate time to conduct the boundary delimitation process to decide the fate of 26 constituencies that are yet to meet the population quota per constituency of about 163,000. So this is almost a double-edged question, because there's the aspect of IEBC to allow them time for delimitation and also to put their house in order. But the MPs are talking about the 26 constituencies that don't meet the quota of 163,000. Would you support a postponement of the 2022 election?
Well, it's what you call a catch-22 scenario, because if the courts rule that we can postpone the elections to allow certain things to be done, that would be okay. However, it is very clear to all of us that the Constitution steadily says and clearly says that the election will be held on the 2nd day of August. Now, as a country, we need to be consistent. We need to be consistent in the way we do things. And the courts may rule that, yes, that is okay, but let it be done next time. Because the Constitution is the supreme organ of this body, and we have to remain consistent in the way we do things in our country. So we cannot be a country that changes all the time. So where do I stand? I've not studied the matter that Kioni is talking about, but as I've said in this show over and over again, let the elections be held according to what the Constitution says they should be held. Now, there's always an argument, like, for example, in our first term, myself included, we never served our full term because we started the term in March, the other term started in August, so we basically never served our full 5-year term. And people have said, let us extend up to December so we can serve our full terms. But you see, these are decisions that can only not be made just by a court declaration. They have to be a constitutional amendment as to when the elections will be held. And so it's critical. Which brings me to this argument that you're talking about when you talk about Kiambaa, for example. The elections were held in Kiambaa. And now let me talk to the leadership of Jubilee, and let me talk to the leadership of the people of Mount Kenya. There are several things, and you have said it here before, in that we feel that the people of Mount Kenya, and especially Central Province, have taken the presidency as a matter of fact, as a matter of that's hiyo ni haki yao ni vile wako. They have had 3 presidents, and so they don't care. And so they can play games, and they can have others from outside come and divide them, and the rest of us are looking, and the rest of us are saying, aha, nyinyi mnachezea, lakini you know, some of us would like to test this presidency even if it's for 3 minutes, as I said last week. So it's something to think about. But most important, Ruto has been chipping kidogo kidogo from within. Amekuwa akiwakula kutoka ndani watu wa Jubilee and chipping into a support base from within, using state machinery, using the powers of state from within. And you have to ask yourself, why have you allowed him to do this, and for how long will he continue doing it? Number one. Number two, you have to ask yourself is this: does Uhuru Kenyatta want to be inherited by William Ruto? If he doesn't care, then it's okay. If he doesn't want to, then now as the leaders of Mount Kenya, you have to look for plan B. Because the selling of Raila into Central Province will not work. And I'm talking as a person who has relatives from Mount Kenya, who has close ties from Mount Kenya, who has links to Mount Kenya. And selling of Raila Odinga to Mount Kenya at this time, a year to the election, will not really work 100% as it should. So you have to come up with a plan B. Who else can remove votes from William Ruto if you don't want him to succeed? You know, who else can do it? It doesn't have to be somebody from Central, but who else can do it? And when I walked around when I was going around Mount Kenya and Central Province, talking to people about my party, Maendeleo Chapchap and others, I found that people are hungry for something fresh, something that, yes, is not far from them, but represents something new that gets them away from all this political debate that has been going on. So I urge our people of, as you evaluate Kiambaa and what happened, as you look at those things, I urge you to really sit down and humble yourselves and look at what are the other options if you want to stop William Ruto from taking over Central Province. If you don't do that, I can assure you that Ruto will inherit President Uhuru Kenyatta.
All right. Cherargei, 2 questions for you. And Majority Whip already said that Jubilee is doing an introspect and will sort of restructure themselves. If they clean up will you stay? That's the first question. And the second question is, do you support the postponement of the election, of the 2022 election?
I don't know when I hear the majority whip of the former Jubilee Party. I don't know whether to laugh or to answer it. Wacha nicheke kidogo. What I can say is that Jubilee is dead. It's part of the process. It's part of the political history and the political dustbin of the yesteryears. You heard yesterday, I saw the SG, Raphael Tuju of Jubilee, speaking to some of the television network in this republic. And it is Kimani Wamatangi and his ilk that have demanded that Murade, Tuju, and the rest of the party officials must be shown the door. It is the same people who told SG and others to kick us out of Jubilee, to whip us in parliament, and therefore Jubilee is dead. Let's just allow Jubilee to rest peacefully and look into the future for better other alternatives, and we have provided alternative for 8 million plus Kenyans who are the supporters of Jubilee to move to UDA. And from where I sit, I think Jubilee, we should allow Jubilee to rest in peace. The final funeral rites were performed in Kiambaa. Just let us allow. And I want to ask them, they can chase everybody. And you know one interesting thing there, Trevor, it's just what happened in Kanu in 2002 is that most of the people who are chased out of Jubilee are more now outside than inside. So from where I sit, I think let's leave that matter to rest. I can assure the whip of Jubilee, Senator Kimani Wamatangi, whether they do introvert, extrovert, whether they sit or do what I can tell you, the imminent of collapse of Jubilee is over, and and I can tell you, Trevor, that the PG, the parliamentary group has never been called for 4 years. The last time we were called to State House by party leader, we were being insulted. I've heard Gladys talking about coalition agreement of TNA and URP. I thought Gladys is a member of ODM. I don't know whether she has details of appointments that were being made, but just let's be honest with Kenyans now that she wants to be. Trevor, ODM is a party that sponsored many members to parliament from across the country. But who is the majority leader? Who is the minority leader in the Senate? Who is the minority leader in the National Assembly? Look at the appointments that ODM did in parliament and tell me they are coming from one region. So let us be less busy with just accusing each other and saying you have appointed about this, you have appointed from this one region. You look ODM in parliament, they have only appointed people from one region, minority leader in the Senate, minority leader in the National Assembly. Second and finally is on the issue of postponement of elections. I want to state in no uncertain terms that Article 102 of Constitution 2010 is very clear on the life of Parliament. And it is very clear that on second Tuesday of every 5th year, which will be on 9 or 8 of 2022, Kenya must go to an election unless there is a war. Unless the people who are agitators and schemers of postponement of an election, unless they want to start a war. Because the condition of extension of life of Parliament is it has been tied under the Constitution with that when there is Kenya is at war. We are not at war with anybody. We are not at war with anybody, Trevor. And from where I sit, Trevor, is that the Constitution is very clear. And if they try to bring into Parliament, I'll be among the first people to ensure that proposal is being shut down. Because, Trevor, if it's about the limitation or the fate of protected constituencies, it is the IEBC and it is the Parliament that we did postpone, and the boundary review is done under Article 89, thereabout, it is 4 or thereabout, that after a certain period, you should do it 12 months or a few months before the general election, but yet now, it is almost less than a year before the general election. From where I sit, I think the postponement of review and the implementation of protected constituencies should be given up to 2024. Then we can do but the elections must happen next year. You saw what happened, as I conclude, Trevor, in Somalia. The parliament tried to vote and ensure the extension of parliament. What happened? There was chaos. There was anarchy. So let's allow the constitution of Kenya to guide us. People who want to cling to power, Kenya is beyond that. They should just retire peacefully and go home and allow other Kenyans to lead and have opportunity of serving this country.
All right, Wanga, wrap this up for us, and then I'll take closing remarks from all of you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to come to the issue of constituencies, but there is a point that Governor Mutua mentioned, that selling Raila to Mount Kenya at this point is not possible. I want to just ask Governor Mutua that if he's running for presidency, let him just run and sell his agenda without demeaning or you know, or saying that Raila Odinga has worked with the people of Central Kenya. They've worked together before. He said Kibaki Tosha. He is a Kenyan par excellence. He's for the entire country. And I think if in the event that Raila Odinga is running for presidency and presents his agenda, especially in revitalizing you know, rural economies, growing agriculture, the things that are close to the heart of the people of Mount Kenya, they will give him a hearing. They will give him a hearing. So I think to rule that out and blanketly throw it out the window is really putting out there a message that some Kenyans are not allowed in some parts of the country. I think the BBI is about building bridges across the country and making sure that every Kenyan is heard, listened to in every part of Kenya. So I just wanted to make that clarification. I hear Cherargei talking about people, you know, wanting to cling to power. There's a very important issue that is at stake here. And as ODM, we have been the party that stands with the minorities. And the constituencies that are at stake are mostly, you know, minority constituencies. You're talking about, you know, Saku, you're talking about Isiolo South, you're talking about the Lamus, you're talking about Laisamis, you're talking about North Horr, you're talking about constituencies that were protected because of the population. And so we must have a discussion. You know, so just to dismiss it and say people are clinging to power and so on, we must have a discussion, if we truly care about minorities in this country, about how do we protect these constituencies. And I think that's what Kioni, because Naragwa is one of the, you know, constituencies that is at stake. That is what Kioni and his team are saying, that if we go right now with the constitution as it is, when we go to the polls in August next year, these constituencies will not be there. So we must talk about where are these people of these constituencies going? How are they going to be covered? You know, so and that is the conversation there. Because if you are in Tetu today, and Tetu constituency ceases to exist, there has to be delimitation to tell you where do you go. If you're in Marakwet East, you have to know where are you going to go. If you're in Mundani or Voi. So this is the discussion that must be had, so that we know how to place the people in these 26 constituencies. So I think it's a valid conversation.
What if it means postponing the election?
I think when they go to court and they present their case, I think it will be determined what should happen. I think nobody wants to cling to power. Nobody is interested, even us who are in parliament. On August 8th, we want to go to elections. We want to go to elections, but we want to carry all other Kenyans along. So that's my point there.
All right, Wamatangi, closing remarks, 1 minute each.
Yes, I think as I close, it's also fair that I take a shot at that. I didn't put my mind to that last discussion.
Yes.
But let me first remind my good friend and colleague, Senator Cherargei, you know, the last time we met, unless he's changed, he was a Christian.
Now you're not too sure.
And I'm not so sure. And because Cherargei, I know, as a Christian, even if you don't read the Bible now, you must have read it before. You know, it says you either have to be hot or cold. So, you know, you cannot be New DA and Jubilee at the same time, Cherargei. So you shouldn't lament that you left Jubilee and you wanted to share the spoils in Jubilee, and now you're in UDA. So I think what we just need to agree, as we discussed here earlier, is that Cherargei and group performed a perfect illegality, you know, and they still continue to perpetuate it, to claim that they're in UDA while they're still you know, by law in Jubilee.
Yeah.
And so when he talks about things about Jubilee, which are not very kind, I guess he remembers that he's talking about himself. Having said that, Trevor, because you've asked Honorable Wanga an important question there on what if it means postponing the elections. And I saw the news that you that you broadcast 2 days ago on that matter. And you ask yourself, Trevor, what is the value of postponing elections from August to December? 3 months. Is there any intrinsic value that any legislator would want to pursue?
Yeah.
What would you do in 3 months? And I think from where I sit, I don't think that any member would be pursuing the agenda they're pursuing for purposes of only postponing the election. It would only be coincidental. But it is also important that we be honest and truthful about the kind of conversation we've had before, Trevor. Remember, even in this forum, we talked before about this issue, and we're asking ourselves, even before this came, what is the convenience of us holding elections in August? These are things, they are sensitive, but you must talk about them. I mean, we are Kenyans, they affect us. For example, we had this conversation here and we're asking ourselves, when you're holding elections, even in the future, in August, how does it affect our children in school? Look at how the calendar of school-going children has been now staggered and conscripted right now so that they can recover the lost time during Corona. And I'm sure if you have a son, Trevor, but don't answer on air, just in case you don't have.
I don't know what you've heard of Atangi, but so far I have not been informed of any.
You know, but ask yourself, your child closed school for 10 days.
Yeah.
They're opening next week, and they're expected to run a calendar that is so tight. Within the same period, they'll be transitioning. And the ones who are in Form 3 will be going to Form 4 and blah, blah, and so on. That is how they're running their education. You'd be asking yourself, then, how does it sit in when you have interruption of elections in between? And moving onwards, because we know how our school calendar looks like, do we want in the future to be holding elections in December or in August? That is a conversation Kenyans must have anyway. It may not be in this election. It could be in another. But those are things about tidying up and hygiene of how we do our things that we need to have a conversation about without fearing that it is going to be misconstrued. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that there is any reason why myself personally, I would want to advocate for an election to be postponed for 3 months away, yet those three months I'm still going to face the people. I would be happier dealing with it early enough. Now, on the question of the Jeremiah Kioni-led team and what they were intending to do, I think that's a matter that has got to be dealt with properly, constitutionally before, and indeed they're right. And Trevor, let me say, I'm on the same trajectory, but I have a petition that has been filed also. But mine had been filed on different bases because mine was on the question of the constituencies that are supposed to have been delimited to ensure that we balance the numbers and attain equitable distribution of resources.
Yeah.
That one, mine is already there. I've already processed it because I also believe that, for example, for my people in Kiambu and within the Mount Kenya region, it is extremely unfair that we will be going to an election where the people of Ruiru get allocations for one member of parliament equal to the CDF of another member of parliament who has 4 times less the number of representatives he has to take care of. I mean, in Ruiru, the population of that sub-county, and I'm just using that as an example, in all the 12 sub-counties of Kiambu County, none is below the quota. Indeed, all of them are way above, all the 12. If we're told to stick to the proper constitutional requisition, we would subdivide and get 19 out of the 12. So what you'd be asking yourself as we move on is, because that is the basis of resource allocation, is it fair that would be saying, take these people to that election, and for the next 5 years, they're going to be shortchanged, whereby they would be receiving an amount equal to 4 members of parliament for one. that they're going to continue to receive for one, and you find that our children receive bursaries of 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, because the resources are not enough. Okay. And I think if we hide our heads in the sand and say we do not want to have that conversation, the same for the people of Mombasa, of Kisumu, of Nakuru, those urban and peri-urban counties where the populations are high. I think those are decisions that must be made. IEBC must be made to understand that they slept on the job. You know, the requirement as per the Constitution is that they're supposed to be continuously undertaking those responsibilities of delimitation, balancing the wards, boundaries of wards, indeed ensuring that they keep a tab on the population growth so that they can limit as and when is necessary. Right. But they've not done that. Yeah. So I believe that's something that should have been done, Trevor. Okay. So I want to urge, let us have some sobriety as we have this discussion. All right. Thank you.
Governor Mutua, closing remarks? Governor?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Now, I'd like to make a very 5 quick points as my closing remarks. Point number 1 is about debt. We talked about debt, some saying that, debt has accumulated. You know, there's no problem with debt. And I agree with Kenyatta and even many people that you get debt, you build a hotel, you build a home, you build an industry. There's no problem. It's utilization of the debt that matters. The debt that we've acquired, this 6-point-something trillion, nearly 7 trillion shillings that we acquired, was it put to good use or was it squandered? Because the problem is that if you have debt and money is not being felt on the ground, then there's a problem. And this is because of the cost of doing business in this country, whereby we are building roads at 3 times the cost of building roads in Ethiopia. Yeah. We are building railways at 5 times the cost of building the same railway in Tanzania. Our supplies, the deals that are made, the interest rate. So we need a system like what I put in Machakos, whereby you can have what is called a reserve price. This is a system that is employed in Japan, where you say that this is the cost of building a road. It's also used in the US, for example, in the state of Texas. If a road, the cost is 20 million, then your profit is 20 million, 10% above that. Then contractors, they know what the cost price is, and so it's about the lowest person within 10% for the profit, or 15%, so that people can get value for money. My point number 2 is that in the same token, when you look at the economy, the macro economy, the difference between growth and development, Kenyans are asking where is the money? And the government of Uhuru Kenyatta needs to realize that unless we take out and we remove all this bureaucracy that is stopping the flow of money in our country, it is going to endear people to people within them who are going to be blaming them for the problem people are suffering from. People do not remember the sumptuous meal they had for Christmas. People remember they slept hungry yesterday. Yeah. So you cannot talk about the past. You talk about the present. How are people feeling this right now? How will they feel as they go to vote? If people are feeling disenfranchised, if people are feeling hungry, if people are feeling that they have no jobs and there's no hope in the horizon, then they are going to vote for the devil. They're going to vote for another devil because that devil promises them heaven. Yeah. And they forget where they came from. Number 3 is that when I was going around and talking, and I'm still going around talking to people, Maendeleo Chap and putting things on the ground, I asked them, what do you want as a people? And Kenyans want stability, they want peace, but they want to see their lives changing. And they're asking, all these people are saying, let's change this, but nobody is saying how they're going to change it. Yeah. And this is where Maendeleo Chap comes in, because we're not going to just be saying, we want this changed. We're going to show you how it's going to be changed in a very realistic manner that you can actually dissect. Yeah. Because we need to make very, very serious decisions. Now, the company now IEBC, as I said, I'm very concerned about if the allegations that have been made about Kiambaa are accurate. I believe they're accurate. I've seen it. We need a country where we vote and then we come out feeling nice. You know, we say it's a lovely day. It's a lovely country. When the elections are declared, we feel lovely. All of us, we feel nice. Justice has been done. Yeah. IEBC really needs to allow us as political parties to put up CCTVs. We may need a change of parliament. We need to have a system of monitoring the results. The problem is not voting. The problem is monitoring all the results. And we call about the judiciary. They have to rule on some of these things. They need to
Yeah.
do this. And lastly, 2022 elections are open. They are not for a particular person born of a particular father
Yeah.
or born of a particular family. They are open to all of us. I'm a presidential candidate. Raila is a presidential candidate. And I agree with Wanga. Yes, we cannot rule out and say that one country is for one person. But
Yeah.
what I was talking about is that in some places, Raila is a hard sell, is a harder sell in Central Province because of what Ruto has done in that place. There are other people like myself and others who are easier sell. The same way, Ruto is a harder sell in maybe Siaya. You know, we have some relatives also than Raila is a sell, or other people will be a harder sell in Siaya than others. So
Yeah.
that's what I meant. It's not that Raila cannot run anywhere in this country. He's a statesman. He can run anywhere. But
Okay.
he's a harder sell in some areas because of the history of that place.
All right.
But everybody, every child of this country can become president of this country.
All right.
And let me just say one thing. I know I've spoken for long, but there is this fascination about Raila, Ruto, Third Force, all these things that is being perpetuated, especially by the newspapers. They are trying to set the agenda of a few people. When Barack Obama was running for president, he started a year to the elections.
Yeah.
People brushed him off. Wakasema kuna mali anaenda, this skinny, lanky, dark man with a funny name. Anaenda wapi? Huyu. A year. But the American media
Yeah.
gave equal chance to Obama and others to represent and also show what they have done.
Okay.
So we look at when we go around, the coverage that is given to Mutua, for example, Mandela Chap Chap, or given to others, you can tell others are favored, you know, when you compare to others. And so I'm telling the media in this country, let's be like American media. Let's be British media. Let's give a chance to everybody. Headlines are not set for only a few people,
Okay.
because I'm telling you, we are going to surprise you.
All right. Cherargei, 1 minute.
Thank you. That was presidential speech. Now, two things I want to say, Trevor. One,
Yes.
that I want to appeal to President Uhuru Kenyatta that he should not listen to any extension of power or clinging of power. Elections must be done in 2022 August, or we risk losing the country to anarchy and lawlessness. Number two, I have seen, Trevor, yesterday that out of 54,000 students or people who applied for scholarship to join Form 1, only 46,000 did not make it to be part of the success. So it means that as the parents, most likely as Form 1's report, around 46,000 plus pupils might not be able. So I want to say that it is unfortunate. As a country, we need to look how to support these learners through the county government's bursary, CDF bursary, and also appeal to corporate social responsibility of companies to be able to support. I've seen Equity fly with wings to fly. We need such cooperative among other banks and any other to be able to support our children to join Form 1. Trevor, you know, most parents suffered because the COVID pandemic, so the economy is not doing very well. And as even the report here, Trevor, the third point I want to make is that to continue to appeal that Kenyans need to continue to receive vaccination. We need to vaccinate Kenyans. We are doing badly. In fact, the other countries, they are doing 68% of vaccination. Others are doing 51%. I think as a country, we want to reopen this country and ensure people continue to earn a living and to improve the economy. We must ensure that Kenyans are vaccinated. Fourth, Trevor, is on the issue of naming. I want to appeal that going into the future, naming is not very friendly to the use of parents, especially our parents. Most of them did not go to school.
Yeah.
But to appeal that we must go back to the quota system, where children from a certain area and they have a school there, we must have quota system so that we can ensure equity and equality in admission to Form 1. Finally, Trevor, is that as we talk today, there is a second reading of coffee bill. I want to say that as the Senate, we continue to debate today on the issue of coffee bill. We want to bring reforms to the coffee sector so that farmers in coffee growing areas, including Nandi, among other areas, continue to benefit from the sale and marketing of the coffee. And we go to the past glory where coffee was a crop that was being used to improve the livelihood of Kenyans. I thank you, Trevor, for this opportunity.
Thank you. Honorable Wanga.
Thank you, Trevor. I think, I'm just fascinated by what, you know, has been rolling out around revitalization of our rural economies. But this week, Right Honorable Odinga spoke about the World Skills Competition.
Yeah.
building skills of our young people enough to take them to the World Skills Competition. And the next edition is in October next year in China. And can we build, you know, can we put people together to send our young people to the World Skills Competition so that we build skills, so that we spur up manufacturing locally, so that on our shelves we have made in Kenya.
Yeah.
And that's going to be where growth is going. Secondly, on the issue of COVID, I think it's time to speed up matters of the vaccine. I think people want to go back to, people want an opened up, you know, economy. People want to go, people want curfews out. People want to, you know, go back to living their lives, and I think we should just work as hard as possible to speed up vaccination so that we are back, you know, to our lives. I've seen the nation has said isolated Raila. Yeah. I don't think at any point or at any time Raila Odinga is isolated. He's in it. Yeah. He's with the Kenyans in it, and therefore I think nations should watch this space. I think it's going to be big. So thank you, Trevor. All right.
Honorable Gladys Wanga, Homa Bay Women Representative, thank you so much for making time. Dr. Kimani Wamatangi, Kiambu Senate and Majority Whip, Dr. Alfred Mutua, Machakos Governor, Samson Cherargei, Nandi